guys? Josh here, 6 Up Tabletop. Starting the new series for Daughters of Khaine, and we'll be taking a look at the first unit that we'll be taking a look at, and that will be Witch Elves. So stick with us, and I'll be covering the unit, their abilities, stats, options you can take with them. We'll also explore their different attributes for the 4 different temples you can use, and a couple battle prayers and command traits and spells that synergize with them if you're running your army as Daughters of Khaine. So let's take a look, and more elves. This is going to be an awesome army, and they've been pretty fun to build. I got Marathi painted, been able to play them a little bit. So let's do an overview. I appreciate you guys coming out watching this video. Hopefully you can learn something. I just like to play for fun, learn some cool stuff. If you guys have any better ideas or better knowledge to help out anybody who's watching this video, feel free to leave a comment below, and hopefully I can reply, and appreciate you guys contributing. Alright, let's hop in. Here we are, taking a look. The Witch Elves. All painted up, not the best paint job for sure, but I think they are certainly tabletop standard. I went with the Hagnar scheme, black leather, the red cloaks, and then purplish dye to the hair, with the gold, armor, medals. So quickly, a lot to cover. Take a look at the box. This is the box that comes with 10 miniatures. There's 5 different poses. For example, with her, she got the double swords. Also back here, you got the double swords. So there's 5 different poses, which is awesome. I know it's a pretty pricey box. It's $60 US. So it's pretty expensive to kit out your army. But if you're familiar with this game, you already know that. Let's see. So this box also doubles for the Sisters of Slaughter. And pretty much, so they also have the different poses that reflect that. So you can build both of them. They come in the same box. That's just an overview. So stat-wise, the Witch Elves do pretty well for themselves. Let's quickly take a look at some of that. So they have 1 wound, 6-inch move, a 6+ save, and 7 bravery. Bravery is a good number to see. Obviously 6+ save is not great, 6 move is good, 1 wound not so great, but we'll take a look at why they are more glass cannon. For their weapons, they have the knives as displayed here. Sacrificial knives, 1-inch range, 2 attacks, 3's to hit, 4's to wound, no rend, 1 damage. You can run them as 10 models. Let's see, and this is the description. 10 models or more, some armed with pairs of knives, others fight with the buckles. So that's part of the kitting option. You can run them, let's see, as battle line Daughters of Khaine. 10 unit of 10, a maximum of 30, and then you get that discount if you run them a group of 30. So they are pretty weak. They're be damaged pretty easily by ranged, and can die pretty easily in combat. So they are very glass cannon, as I stated. So getting discounted points for running them in big groups allows you to get that group to combat without having them die or battle shock away, and allows them to, if you use buffs on them, which you should be, allow you to buff the whole unit. Basically, you get more value for casting a spell because you get more units that are impacted by that. So most lists, competitive lists, run blobs of 30. Let's see. So the Hag, this example will be my hag. She is, I don't know if I can get a good zoom on that, but she's got the double knives, so she adds 1 to her hit roll, so she hits on 3s, hits on 2s, and wounds on 4s. The hornblower, we have the model right here. The hornblower allows the unit can charge even if it ran in the same turn, ran or advance. And Sigmar is called to run, which is awesome. Basically, you could potentially run for 6, so you can move 12 and then be able to charge. So they are very mobile and are pretty good at getting into combat due to that. The standard bearer, bring it right there. The standard bearer is excellent in order to keep your unit losses down as you're trying to get into combat. The standard bearer allows you to, whenever you're taking a battle shock test, roll 2 dice and instead of 1, and then you can discard the highest result. The abilities are, if you run them with double knives, which I've kitted them all out with double knives, you can add 1 to the attack characteristics, so that's awesome. So now you have 30 attacks with just a group of 10, hitting on 3s, wounding on 4s. And also, if they are within 8 inches of a Daughters of Khaine hero, in the combat phase, you can add, again, 1 to the attacks characteristic. So then you can have 40 attacks for a group of 10. So you can see why if you run them with heroes, they can be very dangerous because they have a ton of attacks. And then alternatively, if you do run them with bucklers, they now have a save of 5 instead of 6. Then each time you make a roll of 6 before any Ren modifiers or whatnot. So if you do make a roll of 6 in the combat phase, then it reflects a mortal wound back to the enemy. So this is really good. According to different forums and whatnot, running them with bladed bucklers is better because mortal wounds are easier to deal damage to the opponent, whereas the no-rend weapons aren't as good, and especially if you only get a small unit into combat, or even if you do get a large unit, being able to return those mortal wounds on 6s is pretty good. So we'll cover that. Now let's take a look at some of the things in the book that give them bonuses. So if you do know Daughters of Khaine, you do know that each Daughters of Khaine has a 6+, the wound is negated whenever a wound or mortal wound is equipped onto them. So this makes them even more survivable. And the blood rights table also helps them as well. So the first one would be each turn reroll runs of 1, and then reroll charges of 1, reroll hits for 1, as well as animating the altar. Reroll wounds of 1, and then this is reroll saves, and you do not need to take battle shock. So let's just quickly go through some of the lore. So what spells can you take that help you out? Mind Razor is a big one. Casting value of 7. If it's cast, pick a unit 18 into the start of your next hero phase. Run characteristics -1. In addition, damage characteristic is increased by 1 when attacking a target that has a low bravery. So they are bravery 7. If you're attacking something with 6 and you get Mind Razor off on them, and you have a unit of 30, then all of a sudden, and if you're by your hero, if you're getting the 4 attacks, then that's 70 attacks, Ren 1, 2 damage each. Yes, nothing is going to survive that. And then Shroud of Despair also is pretty useful with that. It subtracts the bravery characteristics, so which helps basically stack with Mind Razor. Catechism of Murder is just a prayer to highlight. Pick a Daughters of Khaine unit within a priest until the start of your hero phase. Each time you roll a hit of 6 for that unit in the combat phase, attack inflicts 2 hits instead of 1. So you just basically popcorn all your hits, after all your attacks, which is pretty awesome. So let's hop in, take a look Hagnar. So the bonuses really for running this is that you get to reroll on the third turn. You get to reroll all hits instead of just one. And if you're within 7 inches of the general, usually if you're running the shrine, you get that negate wounds or mortal wounds on 5+ instead of 6+, and now all of a sudden you're losing a ton less of your infantry, and they're able to get into combat. If you run Draki Ganeth, this is good because you get to add ones to hit rolls in the combat phase if they charge. You can run and charge, so then you'll be hitting on 2s, and that is definitely really good. I do like rerolling all failed hits instead of adding one, just because I believe Hagnar is a little bit better because it's better out throughout the game and not just on turns that you charged. Quickly, the Kraith, roll a dice. If you roll a 6, you can pile in and attack for a second time. So that's really good. I just think it's too situational. A lot of times you might not roll the 6, so that's not super great. If you do run Killianborn, you get the stealth and concealment. That's the ability to subtract 1 from hit rolls that target units in the shooting phase. So this is good. This is potentially something you might want to consider over Hagnar, just as another option. This does protect your unit in the shooting phase as they get into combat. And you'll have this command trait which allows you to basically pick up a unit and move them within 9 inches of the enemy model. So there's tons of cool options for the daughters, and specifically for the Witch Elves. If you guys play them or have any other tips or whatnot, let me know. I'm curious to see how other people play the Witch Elves. But this is Josh with 6 Up Tabletop. We got the first models, first units for Daughters of Khaine, the Witch Elves. I know this is a longer video, but I hope I covered decent amount of stuff for everybody. You guys have a good time, and we'll see you for the next model video. Take care.